Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Tuesday, we have quite the show in store for you. Listen, brothers and sisters, school is right around the corner. And normally, when you say school is around the corner, you're thinking back to school sales, getting pencils, backpacks, worrying about bus schedules, packing lunches, and all that is still in play. But this particular school year, we now have the aspect of is sending your child to school safe? Is there a foundation there and protection through the school systems and the school boards that allow a child to be the best that it could be? Now, everyone is aware of COVID. Of course, if you are not aware of COVID, probably not here anymore. The fact of the matter is, COVID has become a very integral part of our life. Where we go, how many people we hang out with, we wear a mask, we don't wear a mask, the food we eat, and so on and so on and so on. As opposed to last year around this time, what you have is that we have some answers. We have a lot more information about the aspect of COVID, how it actually affects our bodies, and the difference between last year and this year is that we actually have a vaccine. Would you know that the point of contention right now in the United States is whether to take the vaccine or not take the vaccine? Whether to make the argument that it's better and safer to not have anything, to have something that could, in fact, possibly harm you. Or to actually entertain the fact that somehow our immune systems are greater than anything else in the world, and we will never catch COVID. But the same people say, I won't catch COVID. They sneeze until they have allergies and stuff like that. My point, brothers and sisters, is we're now at a nexus, if you will. As school is about to start, more and more information is coming out talking about our children. Now, I call this the COVID Back to School remix because we talked about this before. But now we have a little bit more information and we can placate on ideas a little bit stronger because I believe, brothers and sisters, that the appeal right now is the common sense. The appeal right now has to be the common sense because we're talking about the voice for the voiceless. You're talking about young kids. And this is not a situation to tell anybody what you need to do or what you don't need to do, but you need to hear the specifics. One of the things that does worry me and sometimes infuriates me is that people speak on things in a context that is counterfactual and speaks to the fact that if the facts are not there in front of them, then the facts do not exist. Brothers and sisters, that is an abomination. That is a lie. That is un-Islamic and un-Christian and un-Judaic, un-Abrahamic faith-ish, brothers and sisters, because the reality of it is that medicines have been around since the beginning of time. We say that we pray for our bodies because there's a metaphysical connection to health, not just the health of ourselves, but the health of other people. Look at some of the aspects of last year when we talked about COVID. People quarantined themselves in the house. Families didn't see each other in person for 6-7 months. And the imperative was we want to survive. We want to make sure that I'm not getting my loved one sick. My loved one is not getting me sick. Because at that point in time, there was no cure. Prayer and hopefully a good immune system allowed people to bounce back. You can remember, brothers and sisters, all of the incubators. You can remember all of the COVID testing. You can remember all of these things, brothers and sisters, the glove, the hand sanitizer, the washing your hands, and it had a purpose. It served to the fact that we were humbling ourselves to the fact that we did not know. And while we do have a vaccine, a COVID vaccine, I want everybody to know, and this is for me, and I can be skeptical as hell. If you understand the nature of vaccines, brothers and sisters, if you educate yourself on the nature of vaccines, good and bad, you understand that vaccines are not something that just pop up. They're not something that, oh, let's do that. No. The world of science and medicine has always had a positioning, if you will. They've always had an attitude that we have to plan for the worst. When I say plan for the worst, it means that they have to advance theories and hypotheses and studies that help us deal with small things that could become big. So Wuhan, can become the United States, can become the UK. It became a group of people who was sick, one person who was sick and died, to over 600,000 here in the United States alone. And my goal here is not to sway your mind. My goal here is in a very, I want to say, a very humbly way. I just want to make sure that we're talking about the right things when it comes to our children, not our politics, not our religious beliefs, our children. We're going to be back. It's the COVID Back to School remix with Preacher Moss on the SOS. Let's get it rolling. Yo, we're back. All right, brothers and sisters. Before we get started, if you're coming on the Shout Out Show for the first time, simple thing: share, subscribe, like. Make sure you hook us up here on YouTube. The other thing is, if you have something to say, don't be a wallflower. Don't be scared. Don't be all frantic. Go ahead and jump in the comment section. We're not like that. We're good, peace, information loving people here on the Shout Out Show. Get in there and share your thoughts. And I'm saying share your thoughts, but don't get crazy. Don't get conspiratorial. Just get in and share your thoughts, and let's have a real discussion about this thing. Because for lack of a better word, brothers and sisters, it affects all of us. This topic affects all of us. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if you get in there and I see you a couple times and I recognize you, I'm going to give you your official badge of honor. I'm going to give you a certificate, a spiritual certificate that says you're part of the Shout Out Show family. And I'm going to show you how that rolls, because the Shout Out Show family are the people that makes the show exactly what it is. Before I do that, I want to give a shout out to Sister Nancy Mustafa, who was following with a very serious health issue. We want to make sure dua's out to her and the Mustafa family. We also want to give a shout out to Sister Lorraine Kitchen, recovering. She's doing well, but we want to make sure those duas are there. We're going to give a shout out to our sister, Miss Eleanor Davis. She took a fall, and we're worried about her, but she's coming through. And we also give a shout out to Brother Kendrick Samuels, who is fighting a good fight, brothers and sisters. These times are really hard when people have to go to the hospital because, things like elective surgeries are out of the window. And, a lot of times the emphasis is on these particular, it's actually on the COVID right now. So people are not getting normal treatment. I'm not saying that they're getting good treatment, but, when the focus is over here and resources over here, in some places suffers. You know how that goes. Okay, so let's get into our conversation, but before we do that, I want to make sure we're shouting out some people. I have a special announcement. I'm going to get this over to Sister Tana. Could you bring up our stars in the building, please? All right. We got Sister Ree. I told you guys, Sister Ree has opened up her business, which is called Soulful Creations. Now, we're going to put this on a banner. She's going to be debuting her spot. Her spot is going to be at the International Marketplace, 239 Greens Road, Houston, Texas, 77060. Again, that's Soulful Creations, the International Marketplace, 239 Greens Road, Houston, Texas, 77060 on August the 14th, brothers and sisters. So if you're not there, stop through. Her time is 10 to 7 p.m. She says, come in and add some spice to your life. All right. Add some spice to your life. All right, Sister Reed, you've got a full advertisement and endorsement from your brothers and sisters here on the show. That food better be good too. That food better be good. But if you're doing that turkey spaghetti, y'all in for a treat. Next up, my main man, All Talk Rashid. Wow, they come on salon for too long. Tuning in all the way from Canada. A faithful loyal brother to the Shout Out Show, a valuable proposition, and we said valuable asset to the Shout Out Show. Brother All Talk, Thank you so much for coming on the show. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to say it again, he's our Canadian ambassador to the show. He makes sure the quality of the show works on this side of the border and the other side of the border. And Brother Althoff, it'd be great if you could tell us what's going on in Canada in terms of the COVID back to school remix. I'd love to hear from you. Next up, Sister Christy Santiago. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sister. I think you are. Are you still in Tennessee or on the way back to Texas? I get forgetful sometimes. But either way, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and we appreciate you coming on the show. Big shout out for Sister Santiago. Next up. Uh-oh. I think Sultana has frozen. Yeah. All right. Yo, assalamu alaikum. I'm Preacher Moss, comedian extraordinaire, but I like to add a new title to my name. I'm Professor Preacher Moss. You know why? Because I just graduated. Wait a minute, let me get this out of here. This is it. Okay. I'm Professor Preacher Moss, and it's come through the courtesy and the blessing of the Muhammad Ali Scholarship, which came through Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Now, listen, I know a lot of you people are thinking, can I do it? Yes, you can do it. This is the part where I'm supposed to say, it's easy. It's not easy. Listen, it was easy to get this degree. Trump will be a mufti. I digress. Listen, though, for you brothers and sisters that are interested, go to bayanonline.org, and you could be like me. Put yourself in the picture for Islamic education. Wait a minute, there's a picture right there. Sound like everybody. Take care. Preach them all. All right, thank you so much, Sister Tana, for the save. Looks like my feed went out. Looks like her feed went out. Okay, so we're gonna keep it rolling. Let's get some things through here. Sister Reed said, still do those things, wash your hands, face, and covers more. All right. Brother JT, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing, sir? Thank you so much for coming on the show. We'd love to get your input on the COVID back to school remix. That's what we're calling that. Prayers sent out to the people I mentioned. And you got to advertise anytime you want to. My main brother right here. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing, Brother Tari? My main man, Brother Akil. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the warm greetings about the well wishes about my degree. I appreciate you, brother. You were there. Actually, you were there when I first did my the first time I was at Bayan. You caught me. You were one of my. I think you were my first class. You were actually my first class, brother. So it's good to see you. And feel free to jump on here as well, Brother Tariq. Feel free to jump on this topic. We are calling it unaffectionately the COVID back to school remix. Now let me give a little background information, brothers and sisters. Because I know in the African American community, when this thing came up, we were talking about a lot of things. We were talking about the Tuskegee. I talked about the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, and I talked about my feelings towards medicine and people of color. But let me also add to that why I said that, I can't actually rule out that we've had vaccinations around for a long time. That's why you don't have polio these days. And the whole aspect of MMR vaccinations, which is mumps, measles, rubella, or maybe measles, mumps, rubella, whichever order you want to go in, has been around for years. And admittedly, brothers and sisters, you couldn't send your kids to school if they didn't have that. And the premise was, because these were young minds, young bodies, that we did not want to damage them, because these were diseases that if I want to say these were diseases that if people caught them when they were young, they had long-standing effects, brothers and sisters. I mean, sterilization, all kinds of things. You had that. Now, one of the things that's happened, and I have to speak to this, is that there's been a fundamental shift, because this whole idea of vaccines fell into a space where there are a group of people who do not believe in vaccines. And that belief, that drive against vaccines had largely to do with the fact that there was a premise that certain vaccines, certain MMR vaccines, let the young black men be being open, I want to say exposed to autism. Okay. There's a lot of reports that are around, there's a lot of doctors. Now, here's the deal, brothers and sisters. That's autism. We're talking about COVID. There's autism, then there's COVID. COVID comes with a whole new slate of problems. One of the things it comes with, because it's new, is it creates this space where people can have their own narrative. So now COVID is coming from China, now it's coming across the border and things like that. And it plays to the lower elements, brothers and sisters, of human intelligence. We don't speak about disease, communicable diseases. We argue. We don't talk about the flu shot. We don't talk about things like this. We don't talk about the fact that we already are in a culture where we take shots. Most of the children have to go to school. They take shots. They've been taking shots. They have immunization charts. And we look at the immunization charts and we make no connection that the things that they've been immune to, the shots that they're taking, is to protect them against these diseases. Now, this virus, brothers and sisters, is interesting because it's a progressive virus. What I said the last time we talked about kids going to school was I spoke to the fact that the politicians at this particular point in time were trying to break the teachers' union and force teachers to go into the schools and teach with absolutely no protection. With no protection. There was no vaccine. Masks were there, but we didn't know what we were dealing with. And they were trying to make people go into the schools. 45 is trying to make people go into the schools. There are teachers now who are not teachers anymore because they refuse to go into school, and they were threatened in the state of Texas. They were threatened in Utah. They were threatened in Alabama, whereby if you didn't go to school, you would not be able to renew your license to continue teaching. Nobody's talking about that. I'd say not enough people are talking about that. And the conversation right now is elevated beyond the people who actually have to do the job of teaching and the students who have to do the job of learning. We owe it to them. This is a clear fiduciary responsibility to our students and our educators and the support staff that come, brothers and sisters, that we create a safe environment. And if we do not have that safe environment, then we owe them a duty, if you will, to not bring them into an unsafe environment. Very simple, right? This is a very simple misnomer. I'm saying this because, we've lost that track now. In the state of Mexico, one of the board educators was dismissed. They were dismissed. The school board was dismissed because they refused to enact the mask mandate in Mexico. They said, we're not going to do it. The state had to get rid of a whole school board. Now, the school board aren't teachers. The school board aren't parents. The school board aren't students. The school board aren't support staff. The school board aren't bus drivers. But somehow, we don't want to enforce this mandate. Listen, I'm going to say something real plain. COVID kills. COVID kills. And we're a divided nation that's even more divided now. And the reason is because you have a situation where you're going to have people who vaccinate and people who do not vaccinate. Now, if you took COVID out of it, it'd still be a cogent argument. Say you had people who took a flu shot, and then you have people over here who didn't take a flu shot. Now, the common denominator is the people here that don't take a flu shot. It's not as punitive because guess what? 9 times out of 10, the flu is not going to kill you. The flu is not a virus, as we're talking about with coronavirus. It's not a communicable virus. It is not a virus of record. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like we were going back a year talking about the same doggone thing. And we have a record of what this virus does. And somehow in 2021, as we get ready for the school year and kids have to go back to school, and let me tell you something, brothers and sisters, what I said back then happens now. It's true now. Although I really appreciate you saying that. He said the latest from the provincial government in Ontario schools will open in September without a requirement for proof of vaccine. Okay. But it's hypocritical because if your kids didn't take an MMR, they didn't have MMR immunization, they couldn't come in school. You might have to homeschool. So my point here is, listen, why are we constantly interjecting tragedy, train wrecks, bus crashes between people who are trying to be healthy and people who hope they're healthy? Trying to be healthy, hope they're going to be healthy. And I'm saying you can make the decision. But here's the deal. There are consequences to the decision. Now, we're talking about it at an adult level. I'm going to talk about it at a child level, at a voice for the voiceless level. And if you're a teacher, I applaud you because you know exactly what I'm going to say. When you are an educator, you'll find out in your first or second year that you've signed up to catch every cough, sneeze, flu that comes through the school system. And you're expected to work through it. Yes, you're not going to take off a whole week to recuperate. You take off 2 days to come on back because the kids need you. That's the flu. Yeah, that's the flu. But we're talking about something that's even more devastating because we still don't understand the long-term effects of COVID. You see what I'm saying? I can be honest and say I caught COVID. And I can tell you this, before I caught COVID, I had a pretty good row at running and I'd hit it 5 to 7 miles in the morning and it meant nothing to me. Like it was just like that. And I remember after COVID, brothers and sisters, that I had to work up to a half mile and then to a mile and then to a mile and a half. And I'm still not back to running 5. I haven't run 5 or 6 miles in quite a long time because the body can't take it. And your joints hurt a little bit more. And you're a little bit more creaky. That's probably me just getting old, but I wasn't that way before. And some of the testimony of people who talk about COVID, they talk about how they're not able to get back. They have the foggy mind. You guys are you sit here on the show, watch me sometimes, and you watch me in real time talking about, I forgot what I was talking about. I can't remember. I have the paper in front of me, and I still forget it. But that's me. That's getting old. What about the children? You see, what's been overlooked in his back to school COVID back to school remix, is that the primary caretakers of the children are the ones that you're endangering. See, kids don't know when they're sick. That's the beauty of being youthful. They don't know when they're sick. A cough is just a cough to them. A cough to us is I gotta go see the doctor. Oh Lord, my shoulder hurt. To a child, though, the exuberance of youth is that you can just keep on going. In fact, when a child finally says, Mommy or Daddy, I don't feel well, they're at the end of their physical rope. And so we really don't know. And you put them in a situation whereby we endanger them. The whole ecosystem of education is built on, listen to me, availability. And somehow now we threaten the availability of educators, support staff. See, it's not just teachers, brothers and sisters. It's the people who serve the lunch. It's the people who drive the food, drive the kids to school. It's the crossing guards. It's the maintenance people. You're talking about a veritable ecosystem within the school system that we're threatening. Now, I know we're watching the news now, and this should be no surprise. It's logic. People who didn't want to take the vaccine now, they're like, oh, I'm going to take it. And then, in the hospital, the big mask go, I should have taken it. Yeah, I just don't listen to me. You see that all the time now. You have people who took the vaccine who are getting sick, but that is the breakthroughs that they talk about. But the breakthroughs only 99.99% of the people who took the vaccine. But I tell you this, the people who didn't take the vaccine, I want you to ponder this. If I were to say, hey, listen, I'm going to drive a car, put your loved ones in the car with me, and I'm going to drink. I'm going to drink a lot. And you're going to watch me drive away with your loved ones knowing that I'm impaired. Would you do it? Would you do it? Answer's probably no. So why would you put yourself in a situation, subject people to a situation where they bring impairment? Do you understand what I'm saying? At the beginning of the COVID thing, I remember one of the first shows I canceled was a show in Detroit. And the brother said, why did you cancel the show? I said, well, one, it's going to be hell and high water to get insurance. I said, because people are getting sick. We don't know what it is. He said, yeah, you're right. I said, brother, I don't know what it is. I said, people are getting sick. I said, here's the deal. I wouldn't knowingly invite people to a situation where they could get sick. I wouldn't tell them to come to a situation and get sick. And I wouldn't go to a situation where I could potentially get sick. We didn't know what it was. And from that space, brothers, it was this consensus that this is the way we're going to handle it. You know what the problem is? I'm going to tell you guys what the problem is. The problem is we let people do things that you shouldn't have done. We let people stick their arguments about my personal freedom ahead of the fact that there's science out there, that there's meaningful data out there to tell you that this disease is no joke. And anybody who's surprised that kids are getting sick now should be slapped in the mouth. Because the reports were back last year that kids were getting sick, but it was a small group of kids, and they said that the occurrence is rare. You remember the lie, brothers and sisters. You have children's hospitals that are overflowing. They can't bring kids into these emergency rooms or these intensive care units because they're packed out. Why? Because the children are bearing the responsibility and the decisions of the parents. And at some point in time, brothers and sisters, if you think the insurrection was bad in January, hear me now. If you think the insurrection was bad in January, you take 5,000 parents that lost their children to COVID and they think that the government is responsible. Measure that one. So here's my thoughts as we close. Yes, the vaccine is a personal decision. Got no problem with that. I want you to live your best life. Got no problem with that. But I want to live my best life as well. And there's a point here where you have to look and understand that your decisions can affect me. My decision can affect you, but in a positive way. Your decision can affect me. And that prideful holding on of, and you know what this is, brothers. This is old rampant, American exceptionalism. Like, because I'm American and I can do and that's that old white supremacy because I'm white and I'm in the power structure, I can do But the fact of the matter, COVID don't give a damn. COVID killing everybody. It's killing everybody. It's killing you. It's killing me. It's killing our children. It's killing our teachers. It's killing hope. And if we could just get up off of this foolishness and look around at the data, let me tell y'all something about vaccines before I go out here. Vaccines don't magically happen. They have things called research departments. And these research departments are there because they plan for things like this. So the fact that you got a vaccine so quickly It basically represents the fact that you had scientists probably 5 to 10 years ago doing models like, what if this happened? How would we handle this? The WHO has the same thing. China has the same thing. The only thing they could not, hear me now, the only thing that not could factor in was human stupidity. Not intelligence, human stupidity. And if we somehow have a failure to protect our children, then we're doomed. We're doomed. And for people who may disagree with me, it's okay. But I'm going to give you this and then we're going to go. My first year teaching, I caught a flu. That flu lasted 3 days. Now, it didn't affect my classroom because we had a major snowstorm. And when I got up to try and go to work and tough it out, because that's what teachers do, tough it out. When I got up to try and tough it out, I found that the snow was so big in Milwaukee that school was canceled that Thursday, Friday. So I was off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, went back to work on Monday. Well, guess what, folks? That was the flu. And I knew what to do with the flu. I knew how much orange juice to drink. I know which medicines to take. But what do you take for COVID? What do you take for something you don't know what the hell it is? Because even now we don't know what it is. We're dealing with symptoms and hopeful solutions, not cures. So I'm going to go, brothers and sisters. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsors. Big ups for everybody that came through. I appreciate it. Thank you, sister. Brother Derek, I appreciate you. So let's go to our sponsors. Big shout out to BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Call 1-888-496-6845. Again, that's 1-888-496-6845. And if you want to see Brother Tariq Akil performing soon, you need to go to Bayan Islamic Graduate School. If you're thinking about getting a good quality Islamic intellectual, master's or graduate level or doctoral level education, you want to check out Bayan. They boast one of the premier programs for the Masters in Divinity for Muslim chaplains. They've developed this program. It's the only one in the country. You want to check it out. So, and if you're lucky, maybe you'll catch Brother Tariq teaching speech, my main man. So listen, that's the show. And like I said, brothers and sisters, this is not about your personal decision. This is about protecting life, protecting our futures, if you will, and making good choices. All right? That's the show. I'm Preacher Master. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you tomorrow.